Hey all, welcome to Homeschool. Hope everybody are doing good. I am back with revision videos for class 10 students who are going to write board examination for the year 2022. You can be a student of CBSE or you can be a student of Karnataka board. The videos from our channel will be a great benefit for you. Definitely you can get very good mark above 95 percentage if you can follow our videos which are there in our channel. Every concept is covered in a detailed way from every chapter. So playlist links are provided in the description. You can go and check it out if you have not yet watched. See, I have already started revision videos. I covered heredity evolution and today I am with the chapter periodic classification of elements. Trust me, this is going to be the most wonderful video because every topic I'm going to cover in a very sweetest way. Okay, so don't forget to watch the video till the end and get 100% benefit out of it, and don't forget to post your opinion after watching this complete video. Fine. So quickly, if we go to a chapter, we mainly study 4 periodic tables here. Before our modern periodic table was introduced, in the sense the periodic table that we are currently using is called modern periodic table, right? Invented or discovered by Henry Moseley. Before this, there were lots of periodic tables introduced by many scientists. 3 periodic tables we are studying as a history. They are Dobryner's law of triads, Newland's law of octaves, and Mendeleev's periodic table. So let us discuss what are the merits and demerits of these 3 periodic tables. Later we will go for modern periodic table in a detailed way. Coming to our first periodic table, very old periodic table called Dobryner's law of triads. See, as the name suggests, the meaning of the word triads in the sense group of 3. Group of 3. So this Dobryner, whatever elements were available during his time, he started arranging them in a group of 3. Example, lithium, sodium, potassium as one group. Then chlorine, bromine and iodine as another group. Calcium, strontium and barium as the third group, right? So these were the 3 groups. Group 1 or triad 1, this is triad 2, this is triad 3. So this is how he arranged these elements in a group of 3. That is the reason they are called as Dobryner's law of triads. And he arranged elements in the increasing order of their atomic mass. The atomic mass of lithium is 7. And the atomic mass of sodium is 23, atomic mass of potassium is 39. You see, he arranged these elements in a group in the increasing order of their atomic mass. Not only that, his main principle is that atomic mass of, I'm writing in a shortcut way guys, atomic mass of middle element is the average of atomic masses of first and third element. You know, if they ask you what is the principle of Dobryner's triad, this is what the sentence you have to write. Atomic mass of sodium here is the average of lithium and potassium. If you want, you can check it out. You take the average of 7 and 39. First element's mass is 7, third element's mass is 39. And if you take the average, you will get your answer 23. So 23 is the atomic mass of sodium, right? So this is what the principle of Dobryner's law of triads. Right, okay. And now, what are the demerits of this particular periodic table? Demerits, or you can also call them as limitations or you can call them as drawbacks. Okay, so what are the drawbacks or limitations of this particular theory, Dobryner's theory? See, first thing is he could not arrange all the elements that were found during his time. Okay, so what is the first point that you will like to mention? Could not arrange, all elements according to his principle. Okay, so this is the greatest limitation, right? Greatest limitation of this theory. So this is the only point that you can mention here. So this is what the principle and this is what the limitation or drawback of this particular theory, right? So that is all about Dobryner's law of triads. And after this, we are actually learning the second periodic table, that is Newland's law of octaves. Newland's law of octaves. Okay, so this is also very, very important. So this Newland has arranged all the elements in the increasing order of atomic masses. Okay, so I am actually writing you the merits of Newland's law of octaves. So what is the first point that you can mention here? Arranged elements in increasing order of atomic mass. Not only that, according to his principle, every first element is similar to its eighth element, just like the musical notes sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. First note sa, eighth note sa. Okay, both are similar. Just like the musical notes, every first element is similar to eighth element. So let us write the elements of Newland's periodic table. See, if you look at his periodic table, it looks something like this. Hydrogen. After that, he has placed what? Lithium. Comes beryllium, and after that comes boron. Okay, not boron. After that is carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and then fluorine here. And here you have sodium. Below beryllium there is a magnesium, and here it is aluminium. Then below carbon you have silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, okay, and then potassium, calcium. Okay, but after calcium he has placed chromium. After chromium he has placed titanium. Okay, so according to his periodic table, first element, see, lithium I am taking. With respect to lithium, eighth element is sodium. With respect to sodium, eighth element is potassium. So all of them show similar properties. This is what his principle. Okay, fine. And now everything is fine. Okay, but there are so many drawbacks or limitations even in his periodic table. So the first limitation that I am going to mention you is, okay, so what he said, every first element is similar to its eighth element. You see here, beryllium, its eighth element is magnesium. Okay, both are similar. For magnesium, eighth element is calcium. Similar. Coming to this particular group, you see, for boron, eighth element is aluminium. Both are similar. For aluminium, what is the eighth element? Chromium. See, chromium is placed below aluminium. Chromium has very different properties compared to aluminium. Likewise, titanium is placed below silicon, whereas titanium has very much different properties compared to silicon. Okay, so what is the first point or the first drawback I can write here? Okay, so his theory, or you can write his principle. His principle is applicable. It is applicable only till calcium. Okay, so after calcium, whatever he has placed the elements, no, actually they are the deviation from his principle. Okay, that is the first point you can mention. And the second point is, he could arrange only the 56 elements available during his time. Okay, so he did not leave any gaps, did not leave any gaps for newly discovered elements. Okay, so this is another drawback that you can mention. I mean, he thought that 56 elements are the only elements present in our nature, and he did not predict that there are going to be many more elements in the future, right? So, he did not predict the future. So, he did not leave any gaps in his periodic table for the newly discovered elements later. So, that is his another disadvantage or limitation. Let me mention you the third limitation here. Okay, third one. See, below chlorine, actually he mentioned two elements together, cobalt and nickel together. Okay, so two elements he mentioned in one slot, right? So this is another limitation. So two elements, example, cobalt and nickel were placed in one slot. Okay, so that is another limitation. Okay, so if limitations or drawbacks are asked, these are the 3 points you can remember and write them in the examination. Clear? So this is all about Newland's law of octaves. So we have seen Dobryner's law of triads, what is its principle and what is its demerit, and we have seen Newland's law of octaves, what are the merits and what are the demerits. Now we will go for Mendeleev's periodic table. This is the most important topic. See everyone, here are the achievements and limitations I have neatly written in a point wise, okay, about Mendeleev's periodic table. So it's very, very important. Actually for Karnataka board, these questions are very important. Either they'll ask you achievements of Mendeleev's periodic table for 3 marks, or they'll ask you limitations of Mendeleev's periodic table for 3 marks. So 3 points I have written for each case. Okay, so let's discuss about them in a detailed way. First and foremost, so there is a principle for Mendeleev's periodic table, guys. So you need to know this, which we will call it as Mendeleev's periodic law. Mendeleev's periodic law. It's very, very important. Mendeleev's periodic law says that chemical and physical properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses. Okay, so this is really very, very important sentence. That means all elements have been arranged in the increasing atomic masses. Certain properties gets repeated after some atomic masses. That means after some elements. Okay, so he actually placed all elements in 8 groups and 7 periods. Okay, so he is the first person who has introduced concepts of groups and periods. What do you mean by group? Group is nothing but vertical column. Vertical column is called group. Okay, horizontal rows is called periods. So how many groups he has introduced? 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like this, 8 vertical columns he has introduced, and 6 horizontal periods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 horizontal rows he has introduced. Horizontal rows were called as periods and vertical columns are called as groups. Okay, so he arranged all elements according to their increasing masses. Not only that, whatever elements he has arranged in same group, all of them were having same physical and chemical properties. So that is what his sentence mean. Okay, fine. And now let us see what are the good things that you can take that you can observe in Mendeleev's periodic table. First one, arranged elements according to similarities in chemical properties. Okay, so before he arranged all these elements, he has conducted certain chemical reactions. Whichever elements were showing same chemical properties, all of them he has put in one group. Okay, so not just atomic number he took, he also compared their chemical properties. Whichever were showing same properties, all of them were placed in a same group. So that is one good thing done by Mendeleev. And second one is he left some gaps for newly discovered elements. Okay, so he predicted that in future there can be some elements discovered. For that he has given gaps. Example, below boron, he left a gap and he called that space as Eka boron. Okay, so later that Eka boron was filled by actual element scandium. Okay, so after aluminium also, say if aluminium was here, after aluminium he left a gap and there he has written Eka aluminium. He himself has written Eka aluminium because already silicon was discovered, but name was not given for silicon. He thought that this silicon can be similar to aluminium. That is the reason he left a gap after aluminium in the same group. And he called that gap as Eka aluminium. Later, that element was nothing but silicon. Okay. And similarly, after silicon also he left a gap and he called that gap as Eka silicon. Actually, the element which filled the place of Eka silicon was, germanium. So this is very important. They'll ask you, what do you mean by Eka silicon? Which element is called Eka silicon? It's germanium. Which element is called Eka aluminium? It is silicon. Okay. So this point is very important. Coming to the third point. When noble gases were discovered, he could place them in new group without disturbing existing one. When he introduced his periodic table, noble gases were not yet discovered. Noble gases in the sense helium, neon, argon, all of them. They are not reactive. We say they are inert, right? They were not discovered. But once he has given his periodic table, they were discovered. So he was in a dilemma where to place there. But luckily, since all of them were showing very different properties, since all of them were not chemically reactive, he placed all of them at the end and he called that group as zero group. So the ninth group he introduced and he called that group as zero group. In that zero group, he has placed all the noble gases. So without disturbing his original periodic table, he could introduce a new group and there he could place all the noble gases. So these are the three achievements of Mendeleev's periodic table. And coming to the limitations. So I have given 3 points for limitation. First one is there is no fixed position for hydrogen. Okay, so he did not give one fixed position for hydrogen because when he studied the properties of hydrogen, hydrogen was showing similarities with both alkali metals and halogens. Okay, so he was in a dilemma where to place this hydrogen. So he did not give any fixed position for hydrogen. Later, no position for isotopes. We all know isotopes are atoms of same element which have different atomic masses, same atomic number, right? When they were having different atomic masses, they should have been placed in the periodic table, right? Say for example, carbon 12 he has placed. Immediately carbon 13 should be there or immediately carbon 14 should be there. But where is carbon 13 and 14? Their atomic masses are different. When he considered atomic mass, he should include them, right? He did not include isotopes. For that, he could not give enough reason. And third point, atomic masses do not increase in a regular manner from one element to another. Okay, so he arranged all elements in the increasing atomic mass. Okay, but somewhere here and there are some disturbances. You know what? After 126th element, 127 element must come. But in his periodic table, you will see 127 first and 126 later. Right? So there are some abnormalities. There are some mistakes in his periodic table. Okay. So these are the 3 limitations you can mention. Okay. So I gave you 3 achievements and 3 limitations. So this is the most important topic, guys. You have to concentrate. And now I will move on to modern periodic table. Let's discuss this in a very detailed way. See guys, modern periodic table, in other words, we can also call it as long form periodic table, which was introduced by a scientist, Henry Moseley. Okay. And he has arranged all elements according to a principle called modern periodic law. Modern periodic law. Like we studied Mendeleev's periodic law, no? Similarly, we have a principle here called modern periodic law. So modern periodic law can be defined as chemical and physical, I am writing it in a short way, chemical and physical properties of elements are periodic functions. Periodic, P in the sense periodic, F in the sense functions, periodic functions of their atomic number. Atomic number. So what do you mean by this? So far, in all the periodic tables, we have seen scientists have arranged elements according to atomic masses. But this fellow has arranged all the elements in the increasing order of atomic number. So according to his concept, the chemical property of elements gets repeated after some atomic numbers. After certain gap of atomic numbers, the element with the same chemical property is getting repeated. So that is what the meaning of this particular sentence. So what this person has done is, all the elements he has arranged in, 18 groups and 7 periods. So in his periodic table, you will observe 18 groups. So this is group 1, group 2. Okay. And now group number 3 to group number 12 are here. And group 13, group 14, group 15, group 16, group 17 and group 18. Okay. So like this, 18 vertical columns are there. So how many groups here? Groups are 18. And how many periods are there here? Periods are nothing but horizontal rows. Okay. See here. So this is the first group. Here, this is the first period. Okay. So the first period is very, very small. It has got only 2 elements. Hydrogen you will find here. And helium you will find here. So this is very important, guys. First period has how many elements? It has got only 2 elements. Okay. So 2 elements are there in first period. It is the shortest period, I can say. And coming to second period, you will observe lithium here, beryllium here, boron here, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon. See, you should remember all these elements. Okay, so I will give you certain elements position whose atomic number, okay, atomic mass and in which group they will come, which period they will come, all that you need to know, because this is what can be asked in the examination. Okay, not all elements, at least few elements which I will write on a board. Okay. And now in the third period, there is sodium here. Here you will find magnesium, And here comes aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine and argon. So these are third period elements. Coming to fourth period, here comes potassium and here comes calcium. Don't worry about these things. Okay. So don't worry about these things. Now it is not necessary as of your 10th board examination point of view. Okay. But here it's important. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine here. Okay. After argon, it is krypton and xenon here. Okay. So likewise, you know, this is fifth period and coming to sixth period, and this is our seventh period. Last period is seventh period. Okay. And now actually in the sixth period, here you have an element. So here you have an element lanthanum with atomic number 58. And after lanthanum, you should expect atomic number 59. But atomic number 59 will not be there. You will find hafnium with atomic number 72. Likewise, in the seventh period, below lanthanum, you have actinium with atomic number 89. But here you have rutherfordium with atomic number 104. So where are 59 to 71 elements? Where are they? And again 90 to 103 elements, where are they present? So they are present separately below the periodic table. Okay, because they have very different properties. That is the reason they are placed, okay, below the periodic table. So these guys are called as lanthanoids, and you know, atomic number 90 to 103, they are called as actinoids. Actinoids. Okay, so this is one major thing you should know. And now first period, it had got 2 elements, right? Second period has got how many elements? 8 elements. 8 elements. Third period also has got 8 elements. Fourth period has got 18 elements. Fifth period has got 18 elements. Whereas 6th period and 7th period, you will observe 32 elements each. Okay. So this is how the different elements are present in a different periods. Okay. So at least whichever elements I have mentioned here, you know, those elements you need to know. They'll ask you in which period calcium is present. So calcium is present in 4th period. In which group calcium comes? Calcium comes in 2nd group, right? Likewise, so you can answer to my question and post the answer in the comment section. Tell me group number and period number of sulfur. Group number and period number of chlorine. So this is how questions can be asked for 1 or 2 mark in the examination about this particular basic aspect. Okay, so in the comment box, you are posting me the answer, group, in which group sulfur comes and in which period sulfur comes, in which group chlorine comes and in which period chlorine comes. Okay, so this is the homework for you. Okay, so after learning basic aspects of periodic table, we should know the number of valence electrons present in these elements. Okay, so I'll rub this. So I'm talking about number of valence electrons present in, you know, these elements. They'll ask you how many valence electrons are there in silicon or how many valence electrons are there in chlorine, right? So you no need to mug up, or actually you no need to write electronic configuration also. But I recommend you to know how to write electronic configuration for at least these elements, okay, for your level. Fine. So, you know, number of valence electrons. I'm talking about valence electrons. First and foremost, what do you mean by valence electrons here? The electrons which are present in the outermost shell is called valence electron. It is those electrons which actually participate in chemical reactions, right? So the number of electrons present in the outermost shell is called valence electron. In the first group elements, in all the first group elements, the number of valence electrons is 1. Okay, so this is the number of valence electron. In all the elements of second group, the number of valence electron is 2. Okay, don't worry about group 3 to group 12. We are not studying for your 10th level. Coming to 13th group, number of valence electrons are 3. Number of valence electrons in 14th group elements is 4. Number of valence electrons in 15th group is 5. And here for oxygen, sulfur and all it is 6. For fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine you will find 7 valence electron. And helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon you will find 8 valence electron. It's very easy to remember. 13th group elements 3 valence electron. 14th group elements 4. 15th group 5. 16th group 6. Right? So this number, whichever I gave you, is the number of valence electron. For example, question can be asked like this. How many valence electrons are present in sulfur? Sulfur comes in which group? 16th. You must know which element comes in which group. I have not given all elements. At least these elements you should remember, guys, for your examination sake. Okay. So sulfur. How many valence electrons can be present in sulfur? It is 6. It comes in 16th group, no? So 6 valence electron. So homework for you. How many valence electrons are present in chlorine? So post your answer right now in the comment section. Pause the video and post your answer. How many valence electrons are present in chlorine? And how many valence electrons are present in calcium? Okay. So number of valence electrons in chlorine, number of valence electrons in calcium. Okay. Don't forget to post your answer in the comment section. Fine. So this is all about valence electrons that I discussed. Okay. Now let us talk about valency. Let us talk about valency of elements. Okay. So let me give you valency number here at the bottom. So what is valency? Valence electrons are nothing but number of electrons present in a particular shell. I mean in the outermost shell. Valency is nothing but number of electrons that can be lost or number of electrons that they can gain during chemical reaction is called as valency. Okay. See, all first group elements can lose 1 electron during chemical reaction. So the valency of first group elements is +1. Plus means they are losing electron. Okay. Valency of second group elements +2. Likewise, don't worry about third group to 12th group. Valency of 13th group elements +3. Valency of 14th group elements +4. Valency of 15th group -3. What do you mean by -3? Nitrogen, phosphorus, all of them have ability to gain electrons during chemical reaction. How many electrons do they gain? They gain 3 electrons. That's why -3. Valency of 16th group elements -2. Valency of 17th group elements -1. The valency of 18th group elements 0. Okay, so they don't want to lose electron or they don't want to gain electron. That is why the valency is 0. Okay, so this is the valency number, and this one is valence electrons number. There is difference between valence electrons and valency, guys. That's very, very important. Valence electrons are number of electrons present in the valence shell, whereas valency is number of electrons that they can lose or the number of electrons that they can gain during chemical reaction. So this is the number for valence electron and this is the number for valency. Okay, so now we discussed concept of valence electrons and valency. Now we will go for another important property of an element, that is atomic size. So coming to the first periodic property, atomic size. First you must know, what do you mean by atomic size? It means the distance between nucleus and outermost electron or outermost shell is called atomic size. Okay, so if you have an atom, centrally it has nucleus and around this you will have so many shells. So it is the distance between the center of nucleus and outermost shell is called atomic size. And usually atomic size from left to right, as you go on, atomic size decreases. Atomic size decreases from left to right. Okay, so this is really very important. Say if I ask you a question, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, which is smaller in size? Carbon is smaller in size. Which is bigger in size? Lithium is bigger in size. So as you go from left to right, atomic size always decreases, guys. Why atomic size decreases? Because nuclear charge increases. Reason also you must know. So reason for this factor is nuclear charge increases. Okay, so that's very, very important. And now from top to bottom in a group, what will happen for the size? When you go from lithium to sodium, sodium to potassium, potassium to rubidium, rubidium to cesium, what will happen? Size always increases. Okay, so another point is from top to bottom, size increases. Size increases. The reason is number of shells decreases. Number of shells, increases. Okay, so as you go from top to bottom, size of atom becomes bigger and bigger because shell number increases. Okay, so how do you know that how many shells are there in a particular element? Period number. See, sodium, how many shells are there? 3 shells, because it is coming in a third period. So period number will always give you information about number of shells present. If I ask you how many shells are there in calcium, 4 shells you will say, because it's coming in a fourth period. Okay, so shell number is increasing, so atomic size will increase. If I ask you among sodium and potassium, which is bigger? Potassium is bigger, sodium is smaller. Okay, so this is how questions can be asked. They'll ask you sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus. Which is smallest? Potassium. Which is biggest? Sodium. Okay, so from left to right, size decreases. Top to bottom, size increases. So application questions will be asked from this. You have to be very, very careful. So this is all about atomic size, right? And now coming to the next property, ionization enthalpy. Okay, so first try to understand what we mean by ionization enthalpy. It is nothing but amount of energy. It is amount of energy required to remove outermost electron is called ionization enthalpy. Okay, so ionization enthalpy is always inversely proportional to atomic size, guys. So it's very, very important. So if you know how atomic size varies from left to right and top to bottom, you can tell about other properties. Okay, because every other property is connected to atomic size. So here ionization enthalpy is inversely proportional to atomic size. So now can you tell me from left to right what happens for ionization energy? From left to right, size is decreasing, right? If size decreases, ionization enthalpy increases. Okay, can you tell me what will happen for ionization enthalpy from top to bottom? TB in the sense top to bottom. Top to bottom, actually size is increasing, no? If size increases, what will happen for ionization enthalpy? Ionization enthalpy decreases. Okay, so like this, every other property you can talk with respect to atomic size. So if you want, you can take screenshots for all this. So they are very, very important. So they'll ask you Among lithium, sodium and potassium, which one has very less ionization enthalpy? Very less ionization enthalpy is potassium, because from top to bottom ionization enthalpy decreases. Okay, so ionization enthalpy is always inversely proportional to atomic size. Okay, so this is all about ionization enthalpy. And now let us talk about metallic character. Okay, we'll speak about the third property, that is metallic character. Metallic character is also called as electropositive character of elements. Electropositivity. In other words, it can be called as electropositivity. What do you mean by metallic character? Ability of an element to lose electrons. To lose electrons is called metallic character. Okay, so always metallic character is directly proportional to atomic size, guys. Okay, so this really helps you so much to decide answers for the questions. Okay, so if I ask you whether metallic character increases or decreases from left to right, what is your answer? From left to right, as atomic size decreases, metallic character also decreases. What will happen from top to bottom in a periodic table? Top to bottom size increases. If size increases, metallic character also increases. So among sodium and potassium, which is more metallic? Potassium is more metallic because larger in size. Potassium has more ability to lose the electrons compared to sodium. Okay, so this is all about metallic character. And now let us talk about the last periodic property or the last character, non-metallic character. Non-metallic character. Okay. So this non-metallic character, in other words, I can talk in terms of electronegativity. There is a slight difference between non-metallic character and electronegativity, but anyway, both properties vary in a similar way from left to right as well as top to bottom. Okay, so usually non-metallic character means what? Ability to gain electrons. So how do you define non-metallic character? Ability to gain electrons is called non-metallic character. Always non-metallic character or electronegativity is inversely proportional to atomic size. I told you, no, everything you can tell with respect to size. So from left to right, what will happen for non-metallic character? Left to right, size decreases, right? So you should know only about the size. Size decreases from left to right. Size increases from top to bottom. If you know these two, you can talk with other properties very, very easily. Okay, so left to right, what will happen for non-metallic character? Since it's inversely proportional to atomic size is decreasing from left to right, so non-metallic character increases. Similarly, from top to bottom, atomic size is increasing, non-metallic character decreases. Okay, so they'll ask you among lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon and nitrogen, which is more electronegative or which is more non-metallic? Your answer is, which is more non-metallic? Nitrogen. Why? Because nitrogen is small. Smaller the size, more is the non-metallic nature. Okay, so usually the elements placed here, rightmost side, 17th, 16th group, all of them are very small. So usually rightmost elements are more electronegative. They have ability to gain electrons. So that's why even in valency you observe 15th group have -3. That means they have a ability to gain 3 electrons. 17th group elements have valency -1. They gain 1 electron. So all these guys, since they are small, they have ability to gain electron. All these elements, since they are big, they have ability to lose electron. Okay, so every property, like I explained, you can connect it to size and give the answer. So I think every property I told you it in a very easiest way, right? So everything you connect it to a size, guys. Ionization enthalpy inversely proportional to size. Non-metallic character inversely proportional to size. Metallic character directly proportional to size. So if you know the variation in size, you should know from left to right size actually decreases, top to bottom size increases. If you know that, every other property you can talk with respect to size and you can give the answer. Questions are asked like this. They'll give you some elements in some groups and they'll ask you whether which one has more atomic size, or which one has more ionization enthalpy, or which one has more metallic nature, non-metallic nature, which is more electronegative, like that they'll ask you. Okay, so you just have to give answer with respect to size. Okay, so hope the video has given enough benefit for you. Don't forget to post your opinion in the comment section. With this, I complete this chapter, that is periodic classification of elements. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. We'll meet up with the next chapters. See, already carbon compounds revision video is there. Okay, I'll post the video link is being posted in the community section, so you can check it out, right? So I already have heredity evolution revision, and this is periodic table revision, carbon compounds revision video. I'll post it in community box. Okay, don't forget to check it out. So in next week, I'll come up with many more revision videos on different chapters. Till then, take care and keep revising. So exams are approaching. Start now. If you can start now, you can score very good mark, guys. I can definitely assure you that you will get at least 90 and above 90 if you can watch the videos of our channel, because every content, every topic is explained in a very detailed way. Take the maximum benefit out of it. Thank you so much. Meet you all in the next video.